Let's be honest. Men aren't always great at expressing what they really want in bed. Not because they're emotionally shut down or afraid of you. Often it's because they're terrified of judgment, of being misunderstood, of being vulnerable about what truly turns them on. So what do? They suppress it. They hope you'll just get it. They fantasize silently and never speak it into the room. But here's what you need to know. When you tap into the unspoken desires of a man, when you show him that you're attuned and tuned into his deeper cravings, you instantly become the woman he can't forget, not just because you're satisfying him, but because you're seeing him, accepting him, turning him on in ways he didn't think were even possible. So today, I'm revealing 6 dirty things men secretly want you to do in bed, but will almost never ask for. These aren't cheap tricks. They're emotionally intelligent, wildly effective, and deeply craved. Let's dive in. There's something electric that happens the moment you flip the script. When you take control, even for just a few seconds, you change everything. See, most men are expected to lead in the bedroom. They carry the pressure of making the first move, setting the rhythm, keeping things exciting. And while many of them embrace that role, what they won't admit is that they secretly fantasize about surrendering it for just a moment to a woman who knows her power. When you're the one who pins him down, grabs his face, or straddles him without warning, it shocks his system in the best possible way. It tells him, "You're mine right now." And that's something he craves more than he'll ever tell you. Here's what's really happening underneath the surface. When you take charge there, you're not just stimulating his body. You're turning off the part of his brain that's always trying to lead, fix, perform. You give him the rare experience of feeling pursued. Pursuit is something most men don't even realize they're starving for. When you make the first move, when your body says yes before your words ever do, it's like flipping a switch in him. The confidence, the hunger, the feminine boldness. It bypasses his ego and speaks directly to his primal self. It awakens something deeper than arousal. It stirs a deep emotional attachment to how you made him feel. And here's the beauty of it. You don't have to dominate the entire experience. You don't need to take over the whole night. All it takes is a few seconds. One moment where you push him back, kiss him with intensity, and whisper, "I've been thinking about doing this to you all day." It could be the way you initiate undressing him first, or the way you guide his hands without asking. It's not about aggression. It's about confidence. It's the contrast between who you are in everyday life and who you become when you connect to your desire. That contrast is intoxicating, and it sticks with him because now you're not just a woman he shares physical intimacy with. You're the woman who unlocked a part of him he didn't even know was waiting to be touched. What makes this so powerful is how rare it is. Most women hold back. They wait for cues. They want to be wanted but rarely express their own wanting. So when you flip that dynamic even briefly, you create a memory. You show him that pleasure isn't something that just happens to you. You own it. And in doing so, you invite him into a version of himself that's more vulnerable, more open, and way more deeply connected to you. So don't underestimate the power of just one moment where you take control. It doesn't make you less feminine. It doesn't threaten his masculinity. It makes the entire experience unforgettable. And trust me, he'll think about that moment again and again and again. Let's be real. Dirty talk has become one of the most misunderstood tools of intimacy. People think it's about saying something wild or scripted to sound sexy. But in reality, the kind of talk that truly drives a man crazy isn't about shock value. It's about connection. It's about speaking to him in that moment with your voice in a way that tells him you're not just there, you're in it with him. What men secretly want more than anything is to feel that their partner is present, turned on, engaged. And when you use your words to express that, that's when he gets addicted, not to your body, but to your experience of him. Dirty talk doesn't have to be loud or graphic. In fact, the most powerful words are often the quiet ones, the ones you murmur in his ear when he's inside you. "I don't want you to stop. You feel so good like this." It's the dirty talk that's laced with truth, with feeling. When you say something that tells him how much you're enjoying him, his body, his rhythm, it flips a switch in his brain. It activates a part of him that feels needed, masculine, chosen. And more than that, it lets him know he's pleasing you. There's nothing that arouses a man more than knowing that you're losing control, because of him. Right now, if you're still watching, I hope this video can help you. Your comments motivate me so much, so I can make more videos which you like. So hit that subscribe button and leave me a message. Let's continue. But here's the part most people miss. Dirty talk doesn't need to be pre-planned. You don't have to memorize lines or say something that doesn't feel like you. In fact, if it's too rehearsed, it breaks the moment. What he wants is authenticity. He wants you to speak from your body, from your instinct. If you're turned on, say it. If you love what he's doing, tell him. If you've been fantasizing about him all day, whisper that while he's touching you. That's not just dirty. That's dangerously hot. Because now it's not about being performative. It's about being emotionally naked. And here's where it gets deeper. When you speak to him in that raw, turned-on state, you're also giving him permission to let go. You're saying, I'm not here to be perfect. I'm here to feel this. And in doing so, you make it safe for him to feel, to open up, to explore. That emotional safety combined with physical intensity, that's what creates obsession. Not the words themselves, but what the words unlock. So stop overthinking it. You don't need to be someone you're not. You just need to stop filtering the very feelings he's desperate to hear. Because when you let him hear your desire, not in moans, but in words, he doesn't just want your body. He wants the experience of being the man who brings that out of you. And that is what he'll replay in his head over and over long after the night is over. There's a silent burden most men carry, especially when it comes to intimacy. They're expected to lead everything. Make the first move, plan the moment, create the mood, read your signals, initiate touch, initiate passion, and keep the energy going. And while some men embrace that role with confidence, what many won't admit is how much they secretly crave a moment when you take the lead. A moment where they don't have to guess if you want them, because your actions already said it loud and clear. When a woman initiates the first move, whether it's pulling him closer, starting the kiss, guiding his hand, or climbing on top, it breaks a cultural script he's seen play out 100 times. And in that break, something powerful happens. His nervous system relaxes, his desire spikes, his walls come down because now he's not performing. He's being chosen. This doesn't mean you have to flip roles and dominate everything. It means that a moment of boldness, of clear sensual initiation, can change the entire dynamic. Imagine what it feels like for him when you walk into the room, slide your hand across his chest, lean into his ear and say, "Come with me." No over-explaining, no waiting for permission. Just a woman who knows what she wants and isn't afraid to claim it. That moment is unforgettable. Not just because it's sexy, but because it's rare. Most women wait. They wait for him to prove something, to build comfort, to show confidence. And yes, there's a time and place for that. But when you flip the moment and show your desire, your hunger, your clarity, it taps into something deeper. It tells him, I see you, I want you right now. And when a man feels wanted, he doesn't just respond physically. He bonds emotionally because you just became the one who made him feel desired without needing to earn it first. Realize that this kind of power isn't about being aggressive or detached. It's about being clear. There's so much eroticism and certainty. In the way your hands move with confidence, in the way you kiss him without hesitation, in the way you walk into a space and let your body say, this is happening. When you do that, you're giving him something most men rarely get, the chance to surrender to a woman's desire. And that surrender isn't weakness. It's intimacy. It's the moment where roles blur and connection deepens, because now he's not just leading, he's responding. He's caught up in your rhythm, your energy, your initiative. So don't wait for him to read your mind. Don't hold back your desire like it needs a special invitation. You are the invitation. And when you make the first move, not out of neediness, but out of bold confidence, you unlock something primal in him. And long after that moment passes, what he'll remember is not just what you did, but how it made him feel. Completely wanted, completely chosen, and completely yours. There's an art form that's often overlooked in intimacy. It's not loud, it's not flashy, and it's not even always sexual in the obvious sense. But it's the thing that men remember long after the lights are off and the night is over, the way you touch them. Because what most people don't realize is that men are touch-starved, deeply, not just in bed, But in everyday life, society teaches men to stay strong, be tough, stay stoic. And so few of them ever get to be touched with tenderness, intention, and emotional warmth. When you use your hands, not just during sex, but throughout, you speak a language most men are desperate to hear. It's the kind of touch that says, you're safe, you're desired, and that alone is enough to make him crave you on a soul level. It could be the way your fingers trace the line of his jaw, the way you slide your hand slowly under his shirt, not rushing to get the main event, but savoring the process. It's the trail you draw down his spine, the way your palm rests over his heart. These aren't just physical gestures. They're emotional signals, and they hit differently than anything he gets from anyone else. A lot of women get caught up in the obvious moves, but obsession doesn't come from the obvious. It comes from the details. That moment where he feels your hands linger on a part of him he didn't expect. His thighs, the back of his neck, the crease of his elbow, the way your fingertips glide over his stomach. Slow, deliberate teasing. These are the touches that awaken him, not just sexually, but emotionally, because what you're saying without words is, I want all of you, not just a performance, not just a goal, but every inch, every breath, every part of him. When you use your hands like that, you do more than arouse him. You anchor yourself into his body memory. He starts associating your touch with calm, with pleasure, with comfort and heat. That's a deadly combination. Because now, he doesn't just think about you when he's turned on. He thinks about you when he's anxious, when he's tired, when he wants to feel close to someone. And that's when you've gone beyond lust. You become a need. It doesn't take theatrics. It takes presence. Put down the mental checklist of what you should be doing and just feel what's under your hands. Breathe with him. Be in your fingertips. Men aren't used to that kind of attention. So when you give it, it registers on a level that's so deep it bypasses logic. It speaks directly to the part of him that longs to be unraveled by someone who actually sees him, not as a machine, as a protector, but as a man who wants to be felt. And once he's felt that, he'll never forget it. No matter where he goes, no matter who touches him next, he'll feel the difference. Every man has fantasies. Some he knows. Some he hasn't even let himself fully explore yet. But what most men rarely get to experience is a woman who's not only unafraid of her own desire, but confident enough to speak it out loud. And I don't mean in some over-the-top, scripted way. I mean quietly, whispered into his ear when the rest of the world is asleep. Because here's what you have to understand. For all the physical stimulation men receive, the thing that haunts them is what happens between their ears. And when your voice is the one living there, soft, bold, and suggestive, it becomes impossible to ignore. There's something uniquely erotic about hearing the woman he's would express a fantasy, not in performance, but in truth. It's not about being vulgar. It's about being vulnerable, letting him into a secret world inside you, a moment where you let your desire speak raw and unfiltered. It could be something as simple as, I keep imagining you taking me up against a wall, or I dreamed about your hands last night, woke up needing them. It's not the content. It's the intimacy of the reveal. When you whisper your fantasies into his ear, you're not just turning him on. You're building a bond. You're saying, I trust you with this part of me. And that kind of trust does more than excite him. It melts him. It invites him into a deeper layer of connection, one most men rarely get to experience. Realize that you're not just a partner in the act. You're a co-creator of the moment. Here's the secret. No one tells men that they long to be chosen as the object of your desire. When you tell him what you want him to do to you or what you want to do to him, he's no longer just performing. He's becoming the man of your fantasy. That gives him purpose, power, a deeper sense of masculine presence driven not by ego but by emotional invitation. And the whisper matters, the close to the skin moment, the intimacy of your breath on his neck. It bypasses logic and goes straight to the limbic system, his emotion, his memory, his attachment. That's why he'll remember exactly how you said it, exactly how it made him feel. He might not remember what you were wearing or even what the room looked like, but he'll remember the moment you said that, the one that made his heart beat faster. So don't hold back your fantasies. Don't file them away under maybe someday, or what if he thinks it's too much? Speak them. Share them in the dark, in the in-between moments, in his ear while he's inside you. And when you do, you become unforgettable. Not just because you turn him on, but because you trusted him enough to let your fire show. Realize that this kind of confidence is what makes a man not just want you, but need you. There's one thing above all else that turns a man on in a way he can't explain or shake. And it's not a new technique, a perfect body, or even some wild move in bed. It's when a woman loses herself in the moment. When she stops performing, stops worrying about how she looks, stops thinking about how she's coming across, and just lets go. When she surrenders to her own pleasure. That's what makes a man sexually obsessed, because it's so rare, so powerful, so deeply human. See, most people, men and women, are trapped in their heads during intimacy, overthinking, managing, protecting. But obsession doesn't come from technique. It comes from presence. When you're fully in your body, when you move and sound and breathe from instincts, not control, it awakens something primal in him. It tells him, she's not here to impress me. She's here to feel me. And that distinction makes all the difference. When you're moaning not to sound sexy, but because you literally can't help it. When your hands are pulling at him because you're desperate to feel him deeper. When your hips move without choreography because your body knows what it wants. That energy is magnetic. Realize that when he's not just having sex with you, he's witnessing something raw, real, sacred. And the moment a man feels like he's part of that kind of experience, your total surrender to the now, he becomes obsessed, not with the act itself, but with the version of you that showed up, wild, open, free. And don't mistake surrender for weakness. This isn't about submission. It's about freedom. A woman who trusts herself enough to feel everything is the most powerful woman in the room. She doesn't need to scream to be sexy. She doesn't need to dominate to be in control. Her power is in her depth. The way her body speaks louder than her words. The way her eyes stay closed not to block him out, but because she's inside herself, feeling every sensation he's creating. That's what drives him mad. That's what gets embedded in his memory. When you let go, when you truly stop censoring your reactions or hiding your hunger, you create something unrepeatable. No one else can fake that. No one else can copy it, because it's not about what you're doing. It's about what you're feeling. You're making the moment unforgettable because you were unforgettable in it. That's what men crave but don't know how to ask for. A woman who stops being perfect and becomes present, who stops posing and starts living the moment. That's when he stops seeing you as just someone he desires and starts experiencing you as someone who changes him, who opens something in him, who sets a new standard. So forget perfection, forget control. Let go, lose yourself. Not for him, but for you. Because when you do, not only will you feel more alive, you'll become the woman he can't stop thinking about even when he tries. So, let me leave you with this. The women men remember for a night, follow a script. Women men remember forever break it. Because what makes a man sexually obsessed isn't just what you do in bed. It's who you become while you're there. When you take control, when you whisper your truth, when you move with intention, touch with curiosity, and let go of all the rules, that's when you go from desirable to unforgettable. You don't need to be a fantasy. You need to be fully alive. Let your hands say what your mouth won't. Let your body speak before your words do. Let your pleasure lead the way and watch how fast he follows. Because here's the secret most women miss. A man doesn't become addicted to your performance. He becomes addicted to the way he feels when you're finally free. So if you're ready to stop holding back, if you're ready to show up in your desire with zero apology, then drop a comment below and say, "Oh, my pleasure." Say it and mean it. And if this message spoke to a part of you that's been quiet for too long, share it with someone you love. Subscribe for more unfiltered, honest, and empowering truths about love, sex, and everything in between. Because this isn't about pleasing him. This is about awakening you. And trust me, once you do that, he won't just want you. He'll never be able to forget you.